I was recently given a Spectrum Plus 2 and with it a number of peripherals, one of which is this, a Sinclair SJS-1 joystick. I've not seen one of these in the flesh before, and I must admit, at first glance, it does look rather impressive. You have the red Sinclair logo there, and with the stripes on the case, it looks very reminiscent of a Spectrum Plus 2, which I think was the idea. However, when you start using it, you realise that it was probably built down to a cost. The mechanism's not very tactile at all. It doesn't really feel like you're engaging with anything inside the case. Now, if I compare this to my favourite joystick of all time, which is the Zip Stick, you can hear the mechanism. You can hear the micro switches engaging. There's no doubt that you're connecting with something inside the case. This feels like a much better built product than the Sinclair SJS-1. It looks like my hunch about this joystick being built down to a cost is probably correct. If this article in Crash Magazine issue 48 is anything to go by, the joysticks cost Amstrad about $1 each to manufacture. And it looks like the author of the article, Simon Goodwin, is not much of a fan either. Anyway, let's find out what $1 would buy you in terms of quality in 1986. So the first thing I'd like to do is establish whether or not this joystick is working. I've connected up my Spectrum and plugged the joystick into it, and to test the joystick I'm simply going to boot into BASIC and wiggle the joystick around. Now the Sinclair standard maps the joysticks to either 6, 7, 8, 9 or 0, or the keys 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So by wiggling the joystick around I should see those numbers appear on screen as if I'd typed them. So let's give that a go. As you can see, the joystick is functional, but it's not the best. I wonder if there's anything that could be done about that. Okay, time to take this apart, I guess. Looking on the underside, I can see there are 4 crosshead screws there, just about hidden by the suction cups, but not quite. So let's undo those first. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just put these somewhere safe. There we go. Now what I need to I need a sponge to get this apart. Let's have a look. Oh no. Okay, I didn't hear anything break there. That's always good. Haha, there we go. Just put this to one side a second. I've got a circuit board there, just held in place loosely by these posts. There's a bit. There we go. Okay, yeah, I've seen this kind of joystick before. Very, very simple dome switch arrangement here. Very similar, in fact, to the Atari 2600 joystick. So what you've got is an outer bit, presumably ground, here, which surrounds the outside of these switches. And when you click down on the dome, it makes a connection between this and the track to close the switch. Now these should be making a bit of a clicking noise. That one's not too bad. That one's hopeless. Yeah. Okay, well, they're not completely squashed flat, but that's the only one with any click left in it. the rest have really lost their springiness. Yeah, I think those need replacing. It also explains why the joystick just feels vague and unresponsive. Right. So in order to fix this, what I will need to do is replace these domes. Take the tape off first, replace the domes, get some contact cleaner behind there, because you've probably got, what, 20 odd years worth of gunge behind there. I don't know where this has been stored. Give it a clean, put some new domes on, some new tape on top, and then hopefully job's a good one. It just so happens, anticipating this, I've purchased some of the domes in question. There we go. 10 in there off eBay. I only need 5 for this repair. So let's get one out. And let's see what a... Whoa, got them all out there. Right, let's just see what one of these sounds like. Just one there. I'll get a bit close with the microphone, you might hear it click. Okay. Definite click going on there, isn't there? In fact, you know what? I think I'm going to leave this original. It does work after all. I've always got the domes if it ever gets worse. I don't think I'm going to be using this joystick very much anyway. You can see just how cheap the construction is, just looking at it. Yeah, this is what $1 buys you, apparently. Yeah, speaking to one of my friends on Twitter, Jam Hamster, he's replaced the board with buttons and milled a new internal mechanism here, and he said it's not really improved things much. So I'm just wondering whether or not just replacing the domes will actually make it any better. Nah, I'm going to leave it as is, I think. Yeah. If it ain't broke, why fix it? Okay, let's put this back together again then. Click that back in there. At least you've seen how these mechanisms work inside anyway. Not really a lot to them. Yeah. Must admit, the Atari 2600 joystick, although it's a similar mechanism, is a terrific joystick compared to this. I really don't think these kind of like, I don't know what they call them, flight control joysticks, they don't really work for me. I'd rather have, you know, something a little bit more like an arcade joystick rather than something you grip like this. Yeah, okay. Let's put it back together then. Keep it original. Save my spare domes for another time. You know what a cheap joystick this is, really. Not the best. So this was intended to be a repair video. When I first tested the joystick, I wasn't getting any response from one of the directions. But then when I tested it again before I started shooting this video, it started working. No idea why. From what I gather, these joysticks just break very easily. I can imagine why, really. The plastic doesn't feel very strong. Whoever it was that signed off on these joysticks clearly hadn't seen a 11-year-old playing Davy Thompson's Decathlon, that's for sure. I'd have completely devastated one of these joysticks. Still, they probably sold a bucket load of these. Like I said earlier, they do look the part. Oh, is that actually doing anything? I've actually ruined the thread on this one. That's not tightening. Have I put a screw in? There's no screw in. There you go. There's your problem. Try that again with the screw. I thought I'd rein the post there for a minute. I'm not going to over tighten these because probably will knacker the post. Is that one going? There we go. So there we have it. I'll keep it original. I do quite like the look of it. Keep it original. Might use it occasionally. A bit loose there, isn't it? Tighten that one up again. And yep. Look at this. That's not even tightening up, that. Have I done something wrong? I might have to put a bit more, a few more turns in these screws. Oh boy. Okay, I'm going to just quickly take this apart. Check I'm not trapping a wire somewhere. I think I'll pause the video whilst I do this. Okay, it's back together again now. Managed to screw it together a bit tighter. Still feels a bit squeaky there. I don't really want to tighten this screw up anymore for fear of damaging the post or the threads. That is as tight as it will go. There we have it then, a Sinclair SJS-1 joystick. Not really the best. Looks the part, not really a very good joystick. So, yeah. And there's another thing about the SJS-1 joystick that I'd like to bring up, and that's the connector. At first glance, it looks like a regular 9-pin D-sub like you'd see on an Atari joystick or a zip stick. However, internally, the wiring is different. So if you tried to connect an Atari joystick or a zip stick to a Spectrum via the ports on the side here, you will find that it doesn't work. In fact, there's a warning there which says use only Sinclair SJS-1 joysticks. Now, I suspect Amstrad were trying to be a bit shrewd here by forcing people to use the SJS-1 joystick as their chosen joystick. However, manufacturers quickly cottoned onto this and either provided joysticks with a dual standard connector, so there'd be two D-subs, one wired to the Atari standard and one to the SJS standard, or you could just buy an adapter or rewire your Kemerton joystick to work with the Sinclair SJS-1 standard. So there we have it, the SJS-1 joystick. Reading around the internet, it's not a fan favourite. It's flimsy, cheaply made, and doesn't have the tactile feedback that a good gamer joystick should have. But notwithstanding, it's not without its charms. I mean, look at that Sinclair branding. It's gorgeous. And just because of that, it's worth preserving. It's a piece of computing history after all. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.